All right, there we go. Little slow, but I got you. Hey, good afternoon and good morning to those of you who are on the Pacific Coast. But otherwise, welcome to today's Q&A. My name is Jessie. I'm here with Decker Truckline and here to answer some questions on trucking questions about some of the available jobs here at Decker. So we're going to be talking more specifically on driving positions. We've got a little bit more information now that we've opened up some dry van opportunities. So we're going to dive into refrigerated, flatbed, and now dry van opportunities here at Decker. So as always, if you have questions, the best thing to do is to put your questions into the chat, and I will be able to answer those as soon as I see them. Or as soon as I stop talking long enough to answer them, right? To read them. But it's a Q&A, so it's really your opportunity to get your questions answered right out of the gate. And as always, if you would rather speak to a recruiter one-on-one, then you can call the number on the screen. It keeps flying by. You can call the number on the screen. It's 877-433-2537. Again, 877-433-2537. And let's dive in. We'll talk a little bit about some of the available positions that we have, the equipment that we run. We can talk about orientation, benefits, all those kind of things, and see what questions arise from there. So like I said, feel free to ask. I'll stop and address them no matter what I'm talking about, but I'll go along with what I usually get asked to begin with. So as far as the dry van opportunity, that's the newest option that we have. We've been we've been full for dry van for the last several years. So we haven't been hiring for that position. However, with some growth that we've had, we are definitely in need of some dry van drivers. So if you could let me know what kind of experience you have, we can kind of dive into it from there. We do require a minimum of 6 months of over-the-road tractor trailer experience in order to qualify for any of these positions. Now that being said, that's if you're coming on as an experienced driver without having to go through training. If you are a recent graduate of an approved school, and if you're wondering whether or not your school is approved, let me know the name of your school, because it would be a whole lot easier for me to say yes or no versus naming the hundreds of schools that we work with. So it'd be way easier for me to just look it up than name them all. Anyways, if you're wondering if we work with your school, just put it into the chat. And again, you can also call the telephone number here, 877-433-2537, to speak to a recruiter, and they can give you those details as well. But as far as the dry van opportunity that we have, we've been able to open up to Iowa. So if you live in really anywhere from Sioux Falls, Iowa, down to Omaha, Nebraska, maybe even a little bit south of there, Lincoln area, on over towards Davenport, and then back up to through Cedar Rapids and towards Rochester, Minnesota. That area there, we are hiring for dry van. Now, I do want to make sure that this is clear. That's the area that we're hiring for, or the hiring in, I should say, hiring in. But the area that you're running can include anywhere from Sioux Falls, South Dakota, down to Fort Worth, Dallas, Texas, on over to Pensacola, Florida, up north to Cleveland or Detroit, even further north into Grand Rapids as well. So those, and everything in between. So that's the area that you'll be running for the most part. You might have a couple outlying options, but most of the area is in that vicinity that I just gave you. Now, again, we are only hiring out of the parts of Iowa that I named, Nebraska, the small area from Omaha to Davenport, really. And then Chicago is a good area for us for hiring. So if you live in the Chicago area, or if you live in the Indianapolis area, Detroit, Fort Wayne, Indiana, really anywhere from, let's see, if we were following the route from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, down south to Indiana, Indianapolis, Indiana, on over, not quite to Columbus, but up through Fort Wayne into Detroit, and then, you know, kind of sit on that lower level there. Don't go up into the Lansing area necessarily. Sometimes we run in there, but we're not currently hiring it out of that area. But that'll give you kind of a visual for where we do hire, and then of course the running lanes. And again, this is dry van. So if you have at least 6 months of tractor trailer experience, whether it's refrigerated, flatbed, dry van, we can use that experience to get you qualified. Now, obviously, there's a lot more qualifications than just the driving. You do need to be at least 21 years of age. No major moving violations, so no DOT recordable accidents, no 15 over tickets or erratic lane change or what are some other ones? Following too close, using a handheld device, careless, reckless, nothing like that within the last 3 years. Now, that said, we can work with something like a 5 over speeding ticket. If you've had that within the last 12 months, we can work with that. Obviously, ideally, it's a clean driving record, but we can work with some of those one-off things, just nothing that's a major moving violation or even a CSA violation that is considered major. So if you have a warning, and I'm putting that in quotes, even though that annoys me, but if you have a warning from a DOT officer, it's going to show up on your CSA. All right, so because it shows up on your CSA, that will then be reflected on your record, and therefore it still is considered the fact that you have that. So whether you were ticketed on your CSA or not, if it does show up on your CSA, then that would disqualify you for 3 years on a major moving violation. Hi, Flatbed Trucker, how are you? Thanks for joining me. So yeah, that kind of gives you an idea of qualifying factors. And again, any DOT recordable accident, any preventable DOT recordable accidents. You know, if you get sideswiped or if you're hit and you are not responsible for that, then obviously that's not going to be counted. That's not going to be held against you. You know, wrong place, wrong time, right? But anything that's a preventable accident. And what would be considered DOT recordable? Something if you were ticketed, if there was a fatality or an injury, those would disqualify you. Ticket, fatality, injury, and often if you were towed, and then also if the amount was significant enough for the insurance to deem it DOT recordable. So that's another factor that I can't be too specific on because that's really up to the insurance company. But usually if there's a fatality or an injury, a tow, or a ticket, those are all going to be automatically considered DOT recordable accidents. So, yes, anyways, nothing within the last 3 years in order to qualify for that position, at least 6 months of tractor trailer experience. And then your rate of pay per mile is going to be reflected off of your years of experience. So if you have, if you have just 6 months of experience, so you're pretty new to the industry, you know, but you do have the minimum amount required, then you would start at 55 cents a mile. And then you get a penny raise after 90 days. You get a penny raise annually as well. So that kind of gives you an idea on the refrigerated side. Let's see, or the refrigerated or dry van, actually, the pay scale is going to be the same. Let's say you have 5 years of experience, tractor trailer experience. You'd start at 61 cents a mile. And again, you'd get a penny raise after 90 days. And then you get a penny raise annually on your anniversary as well. Right now, the cap is at 70 cents a mile. Now, that being said, you've got your rate of pay per mile. There's no cap, by the way, of how many miles you run, as long as you're within hours of service, right? But you do need to, let me rephrase it, not need to, you do have requirements for a minimum pay. So you've got your rate of pay per mile, right? And the miles that you run. Ideally, that's what you're getting paid as long as you exceed that minimum pay, right? If you don't exceed that minimum pay, then it's nice to have that minimum pay safety net. So what is that? If you're wondering, you're like, okay, explain more. What is that? My internet is being slow. I know. And I don't know how to fix it. Not right now, I don't know. I was messing with it earlier because I noticed it was really slow too. Which is weird because as soon as I logged in to do the live, it's like, excellent connection. I was like, yeah, right. I know better than that. Well, hopefully at least the audio is working. That would be my biggest concern right there. All right. What can I shut down on my computer that would make it run faster? That's what I'd like to know. And I have yet to figure that out. Let's see. Let's see what I can do. I bet this is it. Let's try that. What I've got going is our intranet, any updates on our intranet. Sometimes that slows it down. All right. Where was I at? Oh, the minimum pay. So minimum pay is, like I describe it, I like to use it as a safety net. That's the way I like to describe it. So it is if you don't get the miles for some reason, that amount, that $1,000 per week, that's that's what you can budget off of, basically. That's what I would go off of. So with the rate of pay per mile and the miles that you run, obviously we want to exceed that minimum pay. And if you are an experienced driver, it'll be a lot easier to exceed that with your mileage than someone who is newer to the industry, obviously, right? Where the minimum pay requirements are, you need to be available for dispatch at least 5 days out of the week. No load refusals, no driver service failures, so no late loads, no CSA violations or preventable accidents. You need to make sure that you're managing your time well so that you're not expanding on the hours of service. And of course, getting your paperwork in on time, making sure that you've sent that in by Tuesday night in order to get paid Friday for it. So that's the qualification, or those are the qualifications for the minimum pay. But like I said, that is just like a safety net for you. We don't want to rely on that because we want to have you do better, right? We want you to be able to take home more. And I know that's your goal anyway, because I mean, you're out there to make money, right? And not necessarily to sit around while you're away from home. I get that. And obviously, with our new awarded freight, being dry van for one of them, we've had the dry van division, however, we've obviously expanded it significantly here in the last couple of months or so. And that's where our need for an opportunity is available. So areas of Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, and Wisconsin. I really wanted to just say Milwaukee. Those are our hiring areas. But one more time, for the actual running lane, anywhere from Fort Worth, Texas, Dallas, Texas area over to Pensacola, up north to Toledo, Detroit, Cleveland area. Well, not quite Cleveland, not quite Columbus. Anyways, those are the hiring areas for us. If you're wondering about it, please reach out to the recruiter at 877-433-2537 so that we can get you more details on that. That would be my biggest suggestion there. All right, so for benefits kick in after 60 days. Blue Cross Blue Shield, it's an 80-20 plan. We have dental, vision, and prescription. The prescription is a $0 generic, and then we also have $0 copays, a $0 copay, sorry, on the generic. We also have $0 copay on specialty and brand name prescriptions. And for each of those levels, you would just need to get signed up for it, because I believe for the brand name and specialty, you can get a 90-day supply while you're out on the road. But yes, it makes a huge difference in your savings, and cost of those prescriptions. The dental and vision, those are all also available. And like I mentioned, the Blue Cross Blue Shield. We also have additional insurances like short-term, long-term disability. There's several voluntary insurances that you can look into if it's something that you're interested in or feel a need to have that. And then we have our 401k, which also starts after 60 days, and that is a 50% match. So Decker matches 50%, fully vested at 6 years, but obviously whatever you invest in 60 days on, anything that you invest is fully yours. I only say that because I was asked that the other day. I'm like, no, that's yours. The vested part only is for those who, or for the match, the part that Decker matches. For, what else do we have? Oh, speaking of benefits, on tomorrow we have a FedLogic webinar. At the end of, or the last Wednesday of every month, FedLogic does a webinar that it's really just helping to educate you on resources that are available to you, whether it be Medicare, Social Security, Medicaid. There's a lot, I think even adoption, there's a lot of resources available out there for you. And FedLogic they do a monthly webinar for to educate you on that and to help you kind of maneuver. So if you are going to qualify for Social Security soon, or if you're qualifying for Medicaid or Medicare, they teach you how to use that properly. Because how many of you guys have tried to use them because you qualify for them, but yet you don't know how to access those benefits? And it's not just the federal benefits necessarily that we don't know how to access, but just in general, right? Sometimes you have more benefits available to you than you realize, but when you don't know about them or even how to access them, where do you even get started? That's where FedLogic comes in, and they provide that education. As for additional benefits for Decker, speaking of making sure that you have those accesses, please reach out to us. And if you are part of the Decker family and are on any insurance or looking for full coverage benefits, let us know so that we can get you honestly, the best way to do it is probably to provide you our PDF breakdown of all of the benefits that we have. It is a big packet, but I can get that over to you usually even through Facebook Messenger, or email it to you so that you can see it. Because we don't want you to miss out on the benefits. We've worked very hard to make sure that we have a full array of benefits that a lot of our professional drivers can use. And if you're not using them, why do the work? So let us know if you want some of those details. We'd be happy to get those over to you. But yeah, and that's including like Blue 365, which has a lot of discounts. They not only discounts, but additional resources. And when I say resources, you guys, sometimes when I hear the word resources, I'm like, well, what does that mean? There are webinars, there are PDFs, like printable documents, or even, you don't even have to print them, but there are ebooks, there are coupons, discounts even without the coupons. So there's a lot of helpful information out there. Those are the resources that I'm referring to that are through the Blue 365 or other discounts and other programs that we have. We also have an EAP program, which is the Employment Assistance Program, that has oodles oodles being like legit, oodles of resources, and those resources are a combination of webinars and one-on-one calls. So if you needed a counseling call, there are counseling calls part of that EAP program that is free to all of our Decker employees and families. And if you need more information about that, please let us know. I believe that's through AFLAC. And the additional resources, what else? That has anything to do with, this is a huge array, you guys, from learning how to deal with adult care to divorce or estate planning or improving your finances, managing your finances. It has quite a bit of information on all of that, kind of a work-life balance as well. The EAP program offers quite a bit of information that I don't feel enough people utilize, but it's out there. And if you are looking to access that, please reach out to us so that we can get that to you. It's a great program that they've worked hard to provide to all of our Decker employees. It is, like I said, it's free to all of our Decker employees and their families. And the Blue 365 is an extension of our insurance benefits, again, available after 60 days. We also have FedLogic, which I mentioned is the webinar today. We have Regenix, which is, if you've ever had any issues with joint pain, or if you're like needing surgery, or had consultations on possible surgery for elbows and knees and neck, ankles, your back, anything like that with joints, and that Regenix is something that is worth looking into. Now, it may not be for everybody, but it is available for those of you who have the Decker insurance. It might be an alternative to having to do any surgery on those. So yeah, it's worth checking it out. What is this? Okay. Still not streaming well. I apologize, you guys. I know that's frustrating. So what else do we have? We have moving on over to our orientation process. We have a 3-day orientation process for experienced drivers, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Usually you're getting into your truck, you're getting dispatched, going through all of that. Usually Wednesday for an experienced driver. We do pay you $500 for completing our orientation. And orientation, before you even get to Fort Dodge for orientation, by the way, it's in Fort Dodge, Iowa, you'll also have completed the online orientation as well as your DOT physical and the hair follicle and urinalysis drug tests. So all of those things need to be completed before you start orientation, physically start orientation in Fort Dodge. We will send you the online orientation. We'll email that on over to you so that you can open up the link and go through it. It's a number of modules, which consists of usually a video followed by a couple of questions. It's not always a video. Sometimes it's an image with different information on it that you need to know. Sometimes it's an introductory video. There we go. From Mr. Decker, he'll spend some time with you, kind of giving you a little bit of the history of Decker, just so you kind of have a background of the company that you'll be representing, and that will be taken care of you. And then the physical, if you have a physical that's good for another, 6 months? At least, if you've had it for 6 months and it's good for another 6, then you won't necessarily need a physical. But we will set one up for you if yours is going to expire. I almost said retire. Oh my goodness. Okay. If yours is going to expire within the next 6 months. It's not only the internet that's slow today. Then we'll set you up for a physical appointment. We'll do all of that. And then we'll also set you up at the same time for the drug test, the urinalysis and the hair follicle. We like to get those out of the way ahead of time before you come here for orientation. First of all, sometimes there's delays and you don't want to you'd rather be, working and making money, I'm sure, than sitting there waiting for some of those to come back. All of a sudden I have excellent connection. It went from poor to excellent. So I'm hoping that all of a sudden I have a great connection for the rest of you. I have no idea. Well, that being said, let's keep it rolling while I've got a good connection here. Okay. So yeah, orientation, we'll talk about, or before you come to orientation, we'll talk about getting your physical and your drug tests completed and the online orientation. We'll make those arrangements. You do get an extra $100 for completing all of that before you come to orientation. Hey, Riley. But if you don't complete it, you're not ready for orientation. So technically you're getting $600 for completing orientation because you're doing all of that at once. So yes, please make sure that you are prepared. If you have questions, speak to your recruiter so that they can fill you in on what to expect, not only with orientation, but the position itself, because some of our positions, if you've watched some of our older videos, some of the positions have changed. The over-the-road refrigerated, some of our home times have changed in our more regional positions. So yeah, if you have questions whatsoever, please ask. I don't want you to have to come aboard and be like, hey, that's not what I was told, or that's not what I thought, because you didn't have all of the information. We want to make sure that it's up to date and current, and that's why we keep doing these for you. So now saying that, let me take just a minute to talk about some of the current opportunities so that you know what we currently have and you kind of where you fall in availability, or what falls in your area for availability. That's probably more accurate. Okay, so again, we've got the dry van. That's the new opportunity that we have. And that's in areas of Iowa. I was going to say if I could share a screen, but I don't want to take a chance with my connection because it's been sketchy, right? All right, so let's imagine, if you can visualize, from Sioux Falls, South Dakota, down towards Omaha, a little bit south of Omaha, over on towards Davenport area, north to Cedar Rapids, and then just short of Rochester, back over to Sioux Falls. That area, everywhere in between there, Iowa, that part of Nebraska, that is part of our dry van opportunity, and it's home every 2 weeks. And that one, with home every 2 weeks, your pay is based on your experience level. It is the same pay that our refrigerated division pays, so anywhere from 55 cents a mile to 65 cents a mile to start, max or caps at 70 currently, and 10 cents per mile is per diem. So, and then of course the miles that you run and the pay per mile, that's what you're getting unless for some reason you didn't exceed 1,000. 1,000 is the safety net. Okay, another area that we hire for out of that dry van, and I know this is just review real quick because we talked about that a little bit earlier, but Mason City, Iowa. I already covered that one. How about Milwaukee down towards Indianapolis, including Gary, Indiana, Chicago, over towards Fort Wayne, South Bend, up towards Toledo, up to Detroit, back on over to Chicago and Milwaukee, up to Grand Rapids. Those are all areas that we hire for the dry van. So it is a smaller area that we have available for the dry van for hiring, but the running lane is anywhere from Sioux Falls to Dallas, Texas, Fort Worth, Texas, over towards Pensacola, Florida, up north to Columbus, Ohio, Detroit, towards, like I said, Milwaukee, through Chicago, Milwaukee, Twin Cities, everywhere in that area. That's what it looks like. That is going to be running lanes. Now, there could be some outliers, for sure. There could be some outlying areas, but that's the majority of the running lanes that you'll see. Now that's dry van. Now for refrigerated, same pay scale, anywhere from 55 to 65 cents a mile to start. We max at 70 right now. You get a penny raise after 90 days. You get a penny raise every year on your anniversary. And then with the running lanes or hiring area, for the refrigerated division, if you're looking for coast to coast, we have that opportunity. It'll get you home every 2 to 3 weeks. And usually when you're out 2 to 3 weeks, you're home 4 or 5 days. We have opportunities out of Missoula, Montana, Seattle, Washington, Spokane, really along 90s from Seattle to Spokane, Washington, Portland, Oregon, Hermiston, Oregon, Salt Lake City. We have opportunity out of Salt Lake, out of Denver, Colorado, Cheyenne, Wyoming. That was a hard one for me to say. Cheyenne, Wyoming. There we go. And then a lot of areas in the Midwest. Dallas, I believe we got something out of Dallas. We have parts of Iowa, most of Iowa. We have opportunities out of the Chicago area, Milwaukee, to Detroit, Indiana, Gary, Indiana, Hammond, good spot for us. Memphis, Tennessee is a good opportunity for us for the refrigerated areas of Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia. So if you are looking for an over-the-road refrigerated division, definitely reach out to us. We can help you there. 877-433-2537. And then as far as more of a regional opportunity for the refrigerated, you do need to live within areas of the Midwest for that, because there's a lot more freight in the Midwest that we can keep you east of Denver. So instead of having to run out west where not everybody likes to run, then we can keep you more regional. And then get you home about I think right now the regional position is 11 days out and 3 days home. So like I said, it's changed a little bit. 11 days out, 3 days home, it's the current availability for that regional position. And that keeps you east of Denver. Thinking about that. And then we have our over-the-road flatbed division. Over-the-road flatbed division, it's not coast to coast, Over-the-road flatbed will keep you also east of Denver. We don't really do anything out west in our flatbed division. That one gets you home every other weekend. So unlike our refrigerated divisions, the flatbed usually is home on the weekends because flatbed freight just doesn't always run on a Saturday or Sunday. So normally you're coming home on a Friday night or Saturday morning and then headed back out either Sunday night or early Monday morning, usually for a Monday morning delivery. Like 7 a.m. is pretty normal. So that's flatbed. And like I said, with the over-the-road flatbed, it's every other weekend. Parts of Georgia and Alabama, this is all over the road. And we've got, what else are we hiring for? Areas of Iowa and Illinois and Milwaukee and Indiana and Ohio, Tennessee, a good location for us, Kentucky, for over-the-road flatbed opportunities. Louisiana, I'm trying to think of where else to tell you for that one. Now for the home weekly opportunities in flatbed, you need to live in areas of Iowa, Illinois, and Indiana. Right now, that's where we currently have our home weekly options. And Wisconsin, of course, Wisconsin, Milwaukee area. So that's home weekly. And again, coming home on a Friday night or a Saturday morning, and then back out either Sunday night or early Monday morning for that Monday morning delivery. So that's flatbed. If you don't have flatbed experience, but have at least a year of tractor trailer, we can then train. If you live in an area of the Midwest that we have a home weekly opportunity, then we can train you in flatbed if you're new to trucking. But yeah, as far as our over-the-road division, we do require that you have at least 6 months of flatbed experience or a year of tractor trailer before going into our tarping and securement training, so you have a good understanding of it. With the flatbed, we haul a lot of building supplies, steel beams, coils, wallboard, sheetrock, or steel sheets. That's what I meant to say. So we do have a variety, mostly building supplies, and then we also have some more unique loads as well, but we don't do a whole lot, if all, oversized or over dimension. We don't really do any of that. Mostly building supplies for the flatbed division. As far as refrigerated, it's refrigerated freight. A lot of produce, meat, and ice cream. Gotta love my ice cream. And what else? Yeah, prescriptions, things like that, like beer. We've got a variety of things in the refrigerated side as well. And then dry van, we do have our new dry van opportunities as well in the upper Midwest. All right, so that's what we currently have available. But again, if you're interested, either apply online at drivedecker.com. You can fill out a short application there to get you started, or speak to one of the recruiters first and kind of get the 1-2 for what we have available out of your area. 877-433-2537. And that way you can talk to them directly about what's available, what your rate of pay would be, benefits and all that kind of stuff. All right. Now, equipment-wise, when you finish orientation and you're assigned a truck, you'll go through you'll actually walk through the truck and all of the amenities with the shop. There's a ton of amenities, by the way. And those are going to include APUs, bunk heaters, APUs, inverters, refrigerators, microwaves. We have CB units on all the truck. CB units. We have Epic View satellite TV on all the trucks, streaming TV now. And we have Wi-Fi on there as well. Epic View, the smart TV that comes with Epic View is a 20. The trucks are double bunk, so if you want it for storage or if you have a rider, obviously make sure you go through the rider policy approval. It's ages 10 and up for the rider, and it's $25 a month that they ride. We also have a pet policy. So a dog policy, if you have a dog that you wanted to ride with, then we do allow non-aggressive breeds. It is $500. Forgot that it had decreased. It's now $500 for the dog policy. And we'll need shot records as well as a picture, photo ID of the dog. How about just a photo to ID the dog? And yeah, like I said, non-aggressive dog. So the dog cannot weigh more than 85 pounds by itself. So the max for two dogs is the max number, but the max is 65 pounds combined. So yes, you can have two. If you've got little dogs, you can have two. You'll also be required to have seat covers on the truck. So you'll need to get a seat cover. And you can pick those up yourself. You can also pick them up at the Decker store in Fort Dodge. We have that. We have some available there too. Just get with staff. Speaking of the Decker store, I have got to remind everybody that the store is Shopify, a Decker Shopify store. If you go to our webpage, DeckerTruckline.com, make sure when you're clicking on the store that it does say Shopify. We have an older store that the link is out there in some land that I don't know where it's coming from, but the link is out there, and we can't access those sales, so we don't know what it is that you're purchasing. If you're wanting to purchase something from the Decker store, go to the Shopify one on our DeckerTruckline.com website, or talk to Steph, extension 2000. And you know what? Now that I bring up Steph's name, that reminds me, this week is the National Tech Week, so shout out to all of our techs here at Decker. Huge shout out. You guys do a fantastic job. They do have some prizes that are going on, and we have a lunch brought to you by MHC in the truck leasing. They are providing lunch on Thursday in Fort Dodge. But last week we had, it was a big week. We have the National Truck Driver Appreciation Week last week, and we had lunches in Fort Dodge every day last week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We had Hammond had lunches, Missoula had lunches, Mediapolis, Bessemer. What am I missing? Des Moines. Like, we had lunches at all of our locations. Not every day, but lunches throughout the week. And I know not everybody was able to get through them, which stinks because, I mean, obviously, ideally, we want everybody to be able to experience not only the lunch, but also have an opportunity to just kind of get to know each other one-on-one. But we had a ton of prizes. So Allstate Peterbilt and Simon Welding, Hot Seat, Best Pass, Verkada, Northland Motor Oil, Pilot Flying J. Who else? Tanya is one of our recruiters. She also did, but Built, so Bauer Built Tire and Service. You guys, all of these people, all of these companies donated items to our Driver Appreciation Day for our drivers. Who else? Crossroads. I think I mentioned Allstate, right? Best Pass. DC Cargo, Midwest Wheel, Bridgestone. There were so many prizes last week. Geotab. We had a Truck Country. Truck Country provided quite some gifts too. So Renova Data donated a couple $50 master gift cards. We had, man, what else did we have? There was so much. We had duffel bags and caps and tire key tags. We had Go3 Bluetooth speakers, lots of different gift cards and Yeti tumblers and different backpacks and sweatshirts and caps. We had Scentsy gifts. Tanya, one of our recruiters, she provided several. I think she provided one every day of a Scentsy gift. We had Beats Solo headphones. DC Cargo provided those. Pop Tire provided Arctic coolers and thermocell mosquito repellents. Nebo lights. They provided several gifts as well. Hot Seat, Northland. Just a lot of gifts that we are very, very thankful for all of our vendors for providing. And obviously there were great giveaways for, we had 175, I think, or pretty darn close to it, 175 names drawn for prizes last week. Yeah. So not only did they get the gift cards from Decker, but like I said, Crossroads and Verkada and 10th Street and Northland Motor Oil and Best Pass and Simon Welding, and there's so many of our vendors provided these gifts. TVC, yeah, shout out to all of them who provided. But again, these prizes, if you haven't picked up the prizes, that's where I was going from the beginning, by the way. If you haven't picked up the prizes, please reach out to Steph. So after you're done speaking to your driver leader today or tomorrow, have them forward you on over to Steph if you received a prize. If you're wondering whether or not you received a prize, I've posted all of those on our Facebook page. Please go check it out. Make sure that you've seen it. You've seen the winnings. And yeah, so excellent. Just want to make sure everybody saw those. I think that's it for me for today. But if you have more questions, please reach out to us at 877-433-2537. We're here to answer your questions and hopefully provide you with some driving opportunities here at Decker as one of the best fleets to drive for here in 2024, 2023, and 2022. Big, something we're quite proud of. Permar Security, they also provided gifts for us as well. Pump tires. Like I said, you guys, sorry.